Ciao ragazzi, my name is Anthony. Welcome back to Inter Worldwide. An absolute pleasure to be here on a Friday afternoon in Sydney, where we are looking to have a nice little chat. And what a pleasure it is to not only welcome one, but two guests. And it's always even better when you can connect from different sides of the world. Or this time it's more of a triangle for the world. I'm going to start from basically more close to home, from Melbourne. Adam, my friend, how you doing, man? It's good to see you.
Good, mate. Good to be here, and hello to all the Interisti worldwide.
Thank you very much, man. It's always good to have people coming over from enemy lines, man. I like it a lot. What I really like is being able to connect with Gianni from the Calcio Guys. It has been too long because it hasn't happened at all. For a while, I've wanted to get one of these lads onto the show or collab vice versa. But Gianni, I've got you on, my friend. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be on.
Awesome. And thank you to the 9 people who've joined us here today. Let us know where you're from. And as always, make sure you let us know if you are new. Gentlemen, decent season so far for Roma. I'll focus on you guys for a little bit first because I want everybody on this channel to get a feel of how the Romanisti are feeling, whether you're in Montreal like Gianni or here in Australia like Adam. Don't get many Roma fans on this Inter-Worldwide platform, so really interested for you to tell the people at home in a few minutes basically how you think the season has gone under Mourinho to get started. A little bit turbulent in the last month or so, but I feel like he's turned a corner without actually having too much adversity. It's the perfect environment for him to pick up where he's left off and continue on with this very promising Roma side. So I'll go over to Gianni first, man. What's your thoughts on the season and the start so far under Mr. Mourinho?
Well, when I first heard that Roma was going to get Mourinho as a manager, I was sick with COVID, so I thought it was like some kind of fever dream. But I knew that moment he signed, I'm like, okay, he's here. He's here to make a serious project out of the team. And I'm very patient. I knew that it wasn't going to be an immediate effect with Mourinho on the team. So far, I'm not disappointed or hurt by Roma's performances with the up and down roller coaster ride because it is a and there are and right now at this point where Roma's sitting in 5th, it's better than I expected. I want them to hit top 4, and I hope they hit top 4. I think they have the capacity to do it, but I'm not to say disappointed. Not really. I think he's been doing, for what he's got so far, a decent job with Roma.
Yeah, I'd have to agree for the most part. Well said. Going over to you, Adam, man, I've heard your thoughts before, but tell some people at home watching you for the first time, what are you thinking of Jose's debut season in the Eternal City at the moment?
Yeah, look, not too dissimilar to what Gianni just mentioned. There was this aura around Jose when we signed him. We saw the murals around Rome before he arrived, and a testament to that has been the games at home this season have literally been sold out every week. And I think a big part of that is because we have Mourinho on the sideline. On our Serie A roundtable, Anthony, we've talked about where the team currently sits, and we have to remember that he inherited a team that was 7th on the table come season end last season, and he hasn't really brought in many players himself. I mean, Tammy's obviously joined, but we lost Dzeko. Mateus Vigna came in on the left as a result of Spinazzola going down in the Euros. But really, he hasn't had any big signings, and we have to give him time. And I think the beauty about the Freakins taking over when they did is that they're going to afford him that opportunity. We've been a club over a sustained period of time that have been really trigger happy in releasing managers after 1 or 2 seasons. I think Garcia was the last one that lasted the longest, which was probably 2 and maybe 2.5 to 2 3/4 seasons. So I think he is here for the long haul. I think the Freakins are trusting him, but it's a slow burn. I mean, we need to give him time. The Ambiente Romano isn't typically a supporter base that have patience, and us Romans don't have patience at all. So it's something that we have to learn, and we're all on this journey together. So, but yeah. At the moment, we're where we should be. I think 5th is probably reflective of our season so far.
Yeah, well said, man. We're a little bit too early for the Sky Sports probable formation, so we might just talk some team news together. There's 11 people watching Inter Worldwide at the moment, which is awesome. Let us know where you are and where you are from. Thanks to Wissam, who's always coming in, Balkan Warrior as well. Emiliano, how you doing? Jono and the game as well. Question for the Roma panel. Do you guys regret the Dzeko sale? That's a nice little segue for now. I'll go with Gianni first. How did you feel when Dzeko was moved along, man?
Bittersweet because he is definitely, I don't want to put club legend yet on him, but he's done so much for Roma. But you saw that like last season, he just mailed it in, because the season before there was already the transfer rumors surrounding him. He wanted to leave, and rightfully so. Like, he did his job for Roma. He did exactly what we wanted him to do. And when it didn't fall through, you saw that entire last season, he was just phoning it in every game. It wasn't the same Dzeko as we were used to seeing. So I think a move needed to happen, because you weren't getting the Dzeko that you had seasons prior. And I don't want to say dead weight. It felt like dead weight, though. Yeah. Like, the motivation in the dressing room was not the same. There was no passion, no fire in the team. And you saw that in the energy on the field. And I don't want to say Dzeko was the main point of it, but when you're a very big pillar in the dressing room and you're one of the people that are not showing that same fire intensity that you used to have, it has an effect on the younger guys. It has an effect on the newer faces of the team. So to sum it all up, bittersweet. It hurt. It sucked a bit, but it was a necessity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think a lot of people overlook the fact that it's not just always physical ability and traits that come into place. Sometimes people just desperately need a change of atmosphere and a change of environment, and that's where they need to be. And, at the end of the day, Inter is reaping those sort of benefits, but, cautiously, with one eye on his age, the other on his injuries as well. Adam, your thoughts, man? Question for the Roma panel, part 2. Do you guys regret the sale of Dzeko? How did you feel when he was sold, and how do you feel now before we move into the lineups?
Yeah, again, agree with Gianni. It's funny because every time Tammy Abraham misses a chance on the edge of the 6-yard box, you sort of think to yourself, "Oh, Dzeko would have scored that." So that's where I feel the regret when I'm actually watching games. But I think he needed the change, and we needed the change too. And he's reaping. You guys are reaping the rewards from that. Sometimes you just need a new scenery. It's like when we change jobs. You've got that. There's this freshness, air of freshness around you, and I think that's what he needed. And he's in a good team at Inter, so I think it's boding well for both Inter and for Dzeko. But from a Romanistic point of view, I think it was time. Yeah, definitely. And for me, he is. I guess if you ask me 10 years time about him, yeah, definitely he'll be considered a club legend. He'll probably end up in our Hall of Fame eventually.
Yeah, awesome. I don't usually go this quickly to the comments, but we've got some good comments coming in for the Roma boys, and I want to focus on them above anything else. So Jack Aboud, welcome, bro. He says, how is Diawara doing? He rejected a loan deal this summer. You guys might be able to elaborate a little bit more on that. Gianni?
Well, watching Diawara at Napoli, he had a lot of good passing potential. He was one of Napoli's more accurate passers. He showed a lot of great promise, and when the swap happened, I thought, okay, well, great. Diawara added to Roma's midfield is going to help out so much. I don't think he's fulfilled his potential yet, personally, but it seems like as if him in his mind, he's like, no, I don't need to be loaned out. I think he feels like he's ready to actually get much more playing time. I'm not as confident with him as I used to be. So I kind of am slightly annoyed that he rejected a loan deal, but I kind of see where he's coming from. But he needs to prove it. He needs to show why he deserves to be in the starting 11, or at least get himself more appearances than he has right now.
Absolutely. Adam, going over to you, and would you mind segueing into the second question after you give your answer? How big of a loss will the suspensions be this weekend for Roma? We know you've got suspensions and injuries, and I'll give the visual aids for them. Off you go, man.
Yeah, look, just on Diawara, just to finish off with, I was going to say I can't wait for January. Can't come quick enough, because if he was moved on in January, I wouldn't be disappointed at all. And long term, as referring back to what I said earlier, long term, I don't think he fits into Mourinho's plans anyway. So I think the quicker we can move him on and replace him with someone that's like Zakaria from Germany, which is someone that's been touted, I think that's what we need. So. But in terms of the next question, that's probably the big one for the weekend leading in, I think, with Tammy Abraham suspended and Ricky Karsdorp suspended as well. It's really going to hurt us, especially Ricky down the right side, which was a really silly suspension last minute of the game, getting into an altercation with the Bologna player. A bit of a brain snap. And, so they're definitely going to hurt us because they're two of our best players. Added to that is the injuries to El Shaarawy and Pellegrini as well, on top of everything else that we've got going against us, going into a game against Inter who are on fire. So, Gianni, what do you think about those suspensions? You're probably aligned to what I'm thinking in terms of especially Rick Karsdorp.
I mean, it was self-explanatory. I mean, Tammy Abraham himself made it clear, especially for his suspension, he wasn't too happy with that call, and he quickly deleted that tweet because it was funny because it caught a lot of attention. I mean, it was frustrating. And it sucks because now on the right side is specifically who would you look to now, especially against a very strong Inter squad. And especially that, like, we already have Wolves on our left side. I mean, soon he's going to be coming back, Spinazzola, but like, it just makes you feel like a bit gutted because especially our center backs this year haven't been the most stalwart center backs that we want him to be. Kumbola is really not the same. I feel like as if he's dipped a bit as well. So I mean, like I feel like as if the offensive capabilities, we have it more or less. It is not the strongest as it can be right now, but on the defensive side of things, it gives me a worry. It gives me a worry right now going against Inter.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we move on to some more comments which are flying in nice, we might as well talk about a little bit of context that makes the Inter fans a little bit excited about this game. It is the first time that we are going to come up against a very, very familiar face, especially when he looked a little bit more handsome like this here. But it really is a treasure. And I wonder what sort of reception he's going to get from the Inter traveling fans. I can almost assure you that 90% of them will be on their best behavior. Generally, it takes a fair bit to rile up Inter fans, honestly. If I'm really comparing them to the grand scheme of things, it takes something as effing stupid as Mauro Icardi to rile up the Inter fans. So this is going to be a really, really nice, if I think, start to the game / introduction to the game. But these sort of games always have a way of ending up fiery, even if there is like some sort of love beforehand. So I just was really curious about my guests' opinions and anybody in the chat. Thanks to the 16 people who are watching right now. Adam, what sort of reception do you think Jose is going to get from the Inter fans, and how do you think he's feeling going into this game, man?
Oh, look, if I had a manager that went to a rival club, in years after and had won me the treble previously, I'd be kissing the ground he walked on. As a Romanista anyway, because it's probably never going to happen for us. But I can't imagine. I guess I'll throw the question back to you, Anthony. Knowing your supporter base, why would they though? Knowing what he did for the club in those few years that he was your manager.
I always want Jose to succeed, man. Everywhere he's gone, from United to Tottenham to Chelsea and back again. After what he did with Inter, I always want him to be happy, and I always want him to be successful.
Yeah, he should be considered a godlike figure at Inter, and regardless of who he coaches, and he's always. Just a funny anecdote actually that I had a mate that did they play against? They played against someone in Sydney probably about 5 or 6 years ago. It might have been when he was managing Real Madrid when they were here for the ICC tournament. Actually, it was here in Melbourne. Yeah.
Because it could have been that or Man United.
Yeah, so everyone was trying to get his autograph and whatever. Amongst it would have been probably about 100 people outside the hotel, and someone yelled out "Forza Inter," and as soon as my mate yelled that out, he turned straight away and beeline straight for him. So that to me says that he's got this, something deep within, that he's still got this massive love for this club. And I think I did see an interview with him a few years ago as well, that he considers that Champions League victory with Inter as his best success. And when he says that, you also have to consider that he won it with Porto in 2004,
and that was Portuguese club in his home country.
Yeah, and that was just unbelievable. That was unheard of, So for him to say that Inter was his biggest success, I think says a lot for the man and the high regard that he holds the club in, and his relationship with Moratti as well. So I can't imagine that he would get a bad reception at the Olympico amongst the travelling fans, and I'd be disappointed if they did.
Absolutely. Gianni, same real question to you. How do you think Mourinho's feeling going into this game? And I guess your segue is, how do you expect Roma to line up against us on the weekend, bro?
Well, Adam said like 95% of what I was thinking, essentially. Like, which is fine, because it's the truth. It's the truth. I honestly don't think that a proper Inter fan will be too, I guess, mad or irritated or angry, whatever negative emotion you want to describe, used to describe towards Mourinho. He's done so much for the club, and I think honestly, the fact that he's taking on a challenge for himself to bring a club like Roma. I'm not saying we're like a lower tier team, but we're not one of the big three in Italy, right? So to bring a club like Roma into a very competitive status. And heck, if somehow one day manages to bring them to win another Scudetto, or like even Champions League final, or maybe even win one. I mean, miracles can happen. We hit a semis recently, but it's all fun and games. But in all seriousness, if he's able to do that, then it just speaks volumes to what he's capable of doing as a manager. And I guess we'll segue that into lineups, since that's what managers are supposed to do. It's really interesting to see what's going to be up front. I'm probably thinking he's still going to go with he probably might go with Shmorodov and Zaniolo up front together.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking mids, so you got Mkhitaryan, you got oh my god,
Cristante should be back.
Yeah, on the back end, you got Veretout, and he's probably going to go with 4. He's probably going to go with 4.
I think he'll go with Cristante, Veretout, and Mkhitaryan, and I think he'll probably play Ibanez as a right back and put Vigna out on the left, which probably suits what he's going to try and do anyway in terms of just sitting back and trying to hit Inter on the counter. I don't think we can match him 1v1 across the park especially with the absences we have.
I think also Smalling might get a shot at center back. He might need his experience against Inter.
Mancini is also fit to start, right?
He should be. Yeah. So I didn't see any news about him not being. So I think something like that's going to be lined up. You're obviously going to go with Rui Patricio in nets, because you cannot go with. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Thank you. against Inter. So I'm picturing that. You put me on the spot here. That's a good question, actually. And I didn't have much time to think about it. But I think that's probably the probable 11 I would go with.
I only sprung to mind because Corriere dello Sport put out an article last night about trying to reshuffle this team because we're running out of pieces. Like our bench will literally be half the Primavera. So
especially in the wing back slot.
Yeah, so Ibanez is a centre back, a left-footed centre back who's going to play as a right back. Like, it's unheard of. So,
and that's where I actually think. That's where I think I'm very, very rarely am I confident against Roma. Even last when Conte was there, we only beat you 1 in 4 games. Yeah, we didn't lose any of the games, but under Conte, we expected to take a couple more points there. But I think our depth and our bench is really going to be when you guys struggle. I could see you guys sticking with us for 60, 65 minutes, but eventually I think we're going to have the physicality. I think at the end of the day, Mourinho is going to try and park it a little bit more for a conservative result than Simone Inzaghi, because I was on Calcio Connection, a podcast today, and Lazio fan Jerry Mancini actually said right at the end, he goes, don't underestimate Inzaghi's desire to win this game because of how many years he spent not only as a player, but as a manager at Lazio as well. And it completely went over my head. Inzaghi's approach to this game, because all the attention has been on Mourinho, all this attention has been on more so the players and who's going to be injured. No one's talking about Simone Inzaghi, who knows exactly what it truly means to go into this game against you guys for the biggest rival. I'm actually curious. I'm going to ask Gianni, what are your thoughts on Inzaghi's start and Inter's start this season before I talk our lineup?
I mean, obviously it's been getting better as of late. It was a bit of a struggle at the beginning, but I mean, it more or less, it's essentially the same group that won the Scudetto last year, Yeah, you lost some major pieces, don't get me wrong. But actually, I think the biggest loss was actually Hakimi compared to Lukaku, but that's my personal opinion. Compared to the two. Well, they're both massively important. No, keep Kolarov. But it's still more or less the same core of players. And Inzaghi is he's not too much of a different style manager than Conte was. They both essentially manage it, if I'm recalling correctly, a 3-5-2. So I mean, it wasn't too much of a change for the squad itself. So, and I mean, recent form, Inter's been kind of sneaking back up into the race. I mean, they're only 2 points back behind Napoli. So I guess so far, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can say it's been all positives, because that's all I'm seeing too.
Yeah, we'll go over to the Inter lineup before finishing off with some comments mostly directed at my awesome guests. Thank you to everyone who's tuned into Inter Worldwide. If you're one of the 16 people still here, make sure you like the video and let us know if you are new. Inter starting lineup, we've had the luxury of being able to rotate in the last 7 days. That's what you get when you come up against Venezia and Spezia. Well done to Inzaghi for getting the rotation correct. I think it played a huge role, especially finally being able to give Nick or Barella 90 minutes rest. So he's going to come out of the gate like a dog that really needs to eat against you guys. And I really hope that he keeps a level head, because this is the sort of game where you can almost guarantee a yellow card in the first 30 minutes for Barella just because of his over keenness. But other than that, as expected, Handanovic in goals. Bastoni should be back after having gastro during the week, so he should be back in the lineup with Skriniar. De Vrij is injured, so it's just a matter of who fills that last centre-back spot. I don't think it'll be Ranocchia. I think it'll actually be either Di Marco on the left of a back three with Bastoni in the middle, Skriniar on the right, or what you might see is Bastoni on the left, Skriniar in the middle, and Danilo D'Ambrosio at right centre-back. Either or, I don't think we'll complain too much. I'd rather not start D'Ambrosio in a high-profile fixture like this, but in terms of actually knowing what it means to go into a game like this and to get the job done, he's just one of many, unofficial leaders that we're calling them in the last 2.5 years. Players that don't seem to see the pitch very often, but when you consider how well they know the weight of the badge on your jersey, your players like D'Ambrosio, Gagliardini, Darmian, Ranocchia, these players, they pay dividends in the dressing room, and they pay dividends when you call upon them to do their job, because it's no complaints. It's sort of jump and they say how high. Other than that, we know that Darmian's slightly knocked, so we will have to put up with Denzel Dumfries. He did play quite well against Spezia, but if there's one thing Adam and Gianni I would recommend is attack that right side and just wait for Dumfries to fall asleep, because when it's time to track back, as we've seen in Serie A, this is the hardest league in the world to adapt to in general, let alone when you're trying to adapt as a fullback or a wingback. It's just really, really tough for players to do. The midfield will be comprised of Barella, Brozovic, and most likely Hakan, who's in very hot form lately. And hopefully Perisic is up to scratch and he'll come in on the left-hand side, who's having a good season. Martinez and Dzeko expected to start up front. Out of the lineup that I've just given you, gentlemen, Adam, I'll go to you first. Who are the major threats, and how do you see the game going as we start to segue into predictions?
Yeah, look, just following on from what I said about our right side and how vulnerable I think it's going to be come match day. Perisic, I think, is the key on that side, especially if he's coming up against Ibanez, who's not a natural right back. So, and he's an absolute Perisic, I think, is in absolute fire. Been on absolute fire this season so far. It's been a real key for you guys. So that's where I think the major threat is. But you guys are champions for a reason, and I still predict that you guys will win the Scudetto quite comfortably in the end. So everyone's a threat. Even your favourite player Handanovic, who pulled off a magnificent save last weekend, Anthony. So look, I don't see any weakness in your lineup at all. I know Dumfries is probably the one that you've targeted, but look, if we pound for pound against our starting 11, I predict that you guys will go on and win the game. Just an interesting stat as well for the Interisti out there, and probably make you feel a lot, give you a bit of comfort going into the game, is that we've only beaten one team so far in the top 10. And we've still got Atalanta and Inter to play, but that should give you some reason to be quite comfortable going into the game at the Olimpico, and for that reason, I think that you guys will win.
Thanks, Adam. Before we go to Gianni's prediction, I've got a nice little question here. What is Inzaghi's managerial record against Roma? I can tell you right now, he's faced Roma 12 times as a manager, 4 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses, an average of 1.25 points per game. So not horrible, but also not fantastic. Let's hope he can bump up that average come this weekend. Gianni, your prediction for this fixture, man?
It's gonna be whoever scores first, in my opinion, because I feel like as if Roma, like I said before, Roma's got a very, very decent quality in terms of offense, and if they're able to capitalize early on and get that 1-0 lead early on, and I have to agree with what you said before, where Mourinho is going to just change into like a park the bus type of tactic. And if Inter manage to come out of the gates swinging, and they do get that early go ahead lead with let's say at the 20th, 22nd minute or something, because I'm just going to choose a random number, hopefully throw a dart, see if it lands. But if it happens, it's just going to kind of deflate the team, and any momentum you're going to try to build up, it's just going to be an uphill climb from there. And if I have to worry about a player, I'm worried about Bastoni. A lot of people he is young, he is growing into his form, but if he's capable of just stopping anybody from trying to score a goal, or just that Roma offense from obviously it's not just a 1-man job, it's a 3-man job, but if he's able to be a big factor into that, it's going to spell doom later on in the game. So I think it's honestly whoever scores first just essentially is going to roll with it. I know it's easy to say like, oh, whoever has the lead early on is going to win. I know it's easy to say, but Roma does have some fight in them. Inter obviously has fight in them. So you can't just say the first goal scorer is going to win, but I think it's all important in this game than other games.
Yeah, nicely said. Thank you so much. For me personally, I do see this as a game where, once again, I'm not convinced that the result is going to go 100% Inter's way, but I'm quite convinced it's going to be one of those games where we leave knowing that we were the better side. Sometimes the result doesn't end that way. I mean, just look at how Lazio are playing at the moment. We got spanked by them. That's my biggest regret of the season so far. But I think that we can go into this game definitely showing pretty much what Gianni said. If we can grab the first goal in the first half, then I would say the chances of Inter walking away with 3 points go up by about 60%. So getting the first goal is very, very important, because if we have the time and the patience to allow you guys to fatigue and come at us, I really think you will struggle to get not only 1 but 2 goals. But if you can get that first goal and play on the back foot, we have failed to break down much worse teams than you guys. So once again, at Serie A, it really could go either way. I'm going to predict 2-1 for Inter, just because if I don't predict that we win, it's going to make me look like a hypocrite, because everybody who watches my channel knows that I think we will win this game. And even if not, it's all good. It's not a shameful result. It's really tough place to go, and you throw the Mourinho factor in there as well. It really could go either way. Big shout out to my friend Gianni from the Calcio Guys. Please let everybody know where they can find you and your amazing words and work as well, my friend.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I honestly, Adriano passed me on the message to be on, and I was excited. You guys can find me and my other co-hosts at the Calcio Guys on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to follow me personally, my Twitter handle is right here. Also my Instagram handle. If you ever want to talk to me about Roma or Serie A in general, you can find me there too.
Thank you so much, Gianni. And thank you to my friend Adam, who's a regular guest on our Serie A roundtable on our Football Worldwide platform. It's always fun. Thank you so much for joining us, bro.
Thanks, man. And look, although I've predicted Inter to win, it's a bit of a reverse psychology. So there's still hope. There's still hope. But hopefully it's a good game. The beauty about Serie A this season is just there's been so many good games already that, hopefully this is another good advertisement for the league.
100%, man. I would agree. All right. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in, and we'll come at you with a match reaction as well. Ciao, ragazzi.
Ciao.